Hello folks, today we're going to be finishing some wood with coconut oil. Some things that you're going to need is your wood, obviously, some hot water, a spoon, small rag, and your coconut oil. This is a Fellowship Week present for Casey, made out of white pine and the bark of an ash tree. The idea behind this design is to have a presentation plate for essential oils, which Casey sells from the wonderful Young Living. You can see the diffuser in the upper corner right there. So this is a larger bottle of essential oils, and they fit perfectly in these slots up here. And then this removes to become a display tray and reveals a storage area inside where you can fit smaller bottles of essential oils and essential oil rollers. So you would want to finish wood mainly to protect it from the elements, and you can additionally stain the wood with other chemical compounds to give it a redder or darker color. More exotic finishes are available to turn the wood yellow or blue sometimes, but today we're going to go all natural here, and we're going to use coconut oil. This is refined coconut oil, so that means that it's not going to smell and the wood won't taste like coconut oil. So if you were to cook anything with this, it wouldn't smell like coconut oil in your home, and the food that you cooked would not taste like coconut oil either. However, you can get regular coconut oil that is unrefined, which may have little bits in it, and it will smell like delicious coconut. But today, unfortunately, the building is not going to smell like the Bahamas. So you can see that this is solid inside of here. I'll take the lid off so you can see a little bit better. This is just solid oil, comes off on your fingers, but that's not really going to work very well for finishing. So a nice little thing about coconut oil is that above 75 degrees Fahrenheit, it will be liquid. So we have this spoon that's been sitting in warm water here for about 5 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that out. I'm going to dry it off so that we don't mix water with our coconut oil. So the spoon is warm right now from the water. I'm going to take just a little tiny bit of coconut oil. You can see that melting just in there. And this spoon isn't hot at all. I can just hold it in the palm of my hand. It's barely warm. Now we've got liquid coconut oil. So we're going to get our rag from an old shirt or something that you don't want. Try and avoid paper towels if you can, because those are disposable and there's not really a point to using something once. So we have the bit of coconut oil on there now, and we're just going to rub it in. You can see immediately that this wood is, the surface of the wood becomes saturated with the coconut oil, and now that'll protect it. Coconut oil won't work as well as some artificial sealants and finishes because it is all natural, so you're using what you can get rather than what was made specifically to finish it. But coconut oil is still a great tool for this. So right now, instead of having to wait for it to melt in the spoon is still warm enough that we can just rub it in like that, and it'll melt right on our rag right there. So this is going to take quite a bit of oil and quite a bit of time, but the finished product will be worth it because the wood will ultimately last a lot longer. This will protect it from drying out and splitting quite a bit. And you'll note that because this is coconut oil and it is organic and all natural, you won't need any protective gear. If you were working with some artificial stains or finishes, you'd probably want to be using gloves and possibly a respirator depending on what it is. So we're very fortunate to have coconut oil in our lives for reasons other than just finishing wood. Coconut oil is great to cook with and great for making many homemade products for skin and for other herbal topical needs. And you'll see here that I'm applying coconut oil to the same area a few times. It's because when you originally put the coconut oil in, it'll seep in, but it takes quite a bit of rubbing and quite a bit of oil to actually get that area of the wood saturated. So what we're doing here is we're not trying to fill all of the void space inside this wood with coconut oil. We're just letting it seep into the skin of the wood to protect it. You notice when you rub it on right away, it's kind of clumpy, and you can actually tell that it's on the surface area with your hand. It feels like Vaseline. But if you rub it in quite a bit, then we lose that Vaseline texture and it becomes smooth. But if you get your finger and rub it along the wood there where you've just finished, if you can tell that there's oil on your hand, you haven't rubbed it in enough. So get a dry part of the rag and rub it in a bit more. And then do that again, and now there's no oil on my finger. So that's how you know that an area is complete on your project. Be careful what you use to finish it as well, what kind of cloth that you use, because this is a set of old sweatpants from a friend, and you can tell that pieces of the polyester are coming off here, but if I wipe with my finger, they'll just wipe right off. But that's something to look out for, especially if you're using lighter colored fabrics. You might not be able to tell that pieces of the fabric are coming off on your project, and that's something that we don't want. It's also important to wipe down your project before you begin finishing, because you can get things trapped like dirt and sawdust, and you don't want that on this rag. You can tell this rag is clean because I've completely wiped off of my project before I began finishing with the coconut oil. But if there is sawdust on here, it'll just come off on this, and you'll have to waste coconut oil, which nobody wants. Ideal for that would be an air compressor, but air from your lungs works just as well. Alright, so now that I've completely covered every surface area on this piece of wood with coconut oil, and I'm satisfied, there's no oil coming off anywhere. I'm satisfied with this. I'm going to let it sit for a few hours, and then the oil will be completely soaked in and it'll be ready to use for whatever you'd like.